The Hydro War was the galaxy's most terrifying conflict, sparked by the discovery of volatile hydro weapons hidden beneath the oceans of the desolate planet Uxoris-4. These weapons, powerful enough to vaporize entire fleets, were considered uncontrollable by every known species. The Galactic Union declared them forbidden, a technology too dangerous for any civilization to wield. And yet, the weapons remained buried deep, waiting for someone desperate or daring enough to attempt to harness them. On the frontier colony of Seraphis Prime, the quiet hum of daily life was interrupted by a chilling broadcast. Admiral Vesher of the Zentar Dominion, infamous for his brutal campaigns, announced the weapons' retrieval from Uxoris-4. The Zentar forces declared their intent to use the hydro weapons as a deterrent against the Union, daring any opposing force to retaliate. Panic rippled through the galaxy, with alliances shattered overnight as fear gripped even the bravest commanders. Amid this chaos, Earth's diplomatic envoy received an urgent plea from the Galactic Union. Despite centuries of mutual distrust, the Union begged humanity to intervene. Earth's Strategic Command convened, with the room buzzing with tension. Among them stood Commander Alara Dane, known for her unorthodox tactics and sharp intellect. Unlike the galaxy's most seasoned generals, she wore an air of calculated calm, a stark contrast to the palpable anxiety surrounding her. Dane reviewed the intelligence on the hydro weapons, biochemical entities capable of devastating entire atmospheres. Their nature was unlike any traditional armament, alive, adaptable, and uncontrollable. Yet, instead of the anticipated reaction of horror or doubt, she smirked. "We've faced worse," Dane said simply, her voice cutting through the chatter. "If the Zentar think hydro weapons are unstoppable, they clearly haven't met humans." Her words carried confidence born from Earth's history of resilience. While other species relied on technological superiority, humanity thrived in situations demanding ingenuity, grit, and an uncanny ability to adapt. The council members exchanged wary glances before reluctantly giving their approval. Earth would lead the charge against the Zentar Dominion. Dane wasted no time assembling a crew of specialists. Her team included Lieutenant Kai Navarro, a hydrochemist with a flair for turning impossible theories into reality, and Dr. Leora Vane, a xenobiologist fascinated by the symbiotic nature of hydro weapons. Together, they pored over the data, brainstorming unconventional methods to neutralize the weapons. In a dimly lit briefing room aboard the starship Vanguard, Dane outlined the mission. The plan was as audacious as it was reckless: infiltrate Uxoris-4, learn to control the hydro weapons, and render them harmless. The crew's reaction ranged from awe to skepticism, but Dane's unwavering resolve was contagious. "If we don't do this," she concluded, "the Zentar won't just control Uxoris, they'll control every system in the galaxy. And trust me, humanity doesn't bow to tyrants." The Vanguard launched into hyperspace, its crew determined and hopeful. The journey to Uxoris-4 was fraught with dangers, from navigating asteroid fields to evading Zentar patrols. Yet, the human team's adaptability shone through. Every challenge was met with ingenuity, every setback with determination. As the barren, ocean-covered Uxoris-4 loomed ahead, a mix of dread and anticipation filled the air. Dane stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the planet below. The mission was just beginning, but humanity's resolve had never been stronger. The descent to Uxoris-4 was anything but smooth. The planet's atmosphere, saturated with volatile gases, was prone to sudden electrical storms. The Vanguard shields flickered under the strain, but its pilot, Lieutenant Arden Cross, expertly maneuvered through the chaos. As the ship broke through the stormy clouds, the crew glimpsed the planet's surface, a sprawling, turbulent ocean with jagged islands protruding like shards of glass. Somewhere beneath those roiling waves lay the Zentar Dominion's base and the hydro weapons they had unleashed. Commander Alara Dane addressed the crew in the Vanguard's briefing chamber. The tension in the room was palpable, but her voice was steady. "We're not here to destroy the Zentar," she began, pacing the room. "We're here to show them why their greatest weapon isn't as unstoppable as they think. Hydro weapons adapt, but so do we. And we're better at it." Lieutenant Kai Navarro, the hydrochemist, outlined the plan. The hydro weapons aren't just machines, they're living organisms, chemically programmed to react aggressively to threats. But if we can alter their biochemical structure, we might neutralize them. It's risky, but it's our best shot. The crew prepared for the mission, donning advanced diving suits equipped with cutting-edge adaptive tech. Their destination was a deep-sea facility where the Zentaur were refining the hydro weapons. The journey required navigating treacherous underwater currents and avoiding Zentaur patrols. The team's submersible plunged into the depths, its lights piercing the inky blackness. The further they descended, the more alien the environment became. Strange bioluminescent creatures floated past, casting eerie glows. The pressure increased, but the humans pressed on, their determination outweighing their fear. As they approached the Zentaur base, an unexpected challenge emerged: a swarm of hydro drones patrolling the perimeter. These drones, semi-sentient extensions of the hydro weapons, reacted instantly to the submersible's presence. Dane quickly ordered evasive maneuvers, but the drones were relentless. "Deploy the decoys!" she barked, her voice cutting through the chaos. Lieutenant Navarro activated the decoy system, releasing a series of pods emitting electromagnetic signals to confuse the drones. The gambit worked, and the team slipped past the patrol, but their escape didn't go unnoticed. Inside the base, the Zentaur had been monitoring the intruders. Admiral Vescher, a towering figure in sleek black armor, observed the humans' progress with growing unease. "They're clever," he admitted begrudgingly. "But cleverness won't save them." The team reached the outer shell of the Zentaur facility, a massive structure built into a volcanic ridge. Using stealth modules, they infiltrated the base, their suits rendering them nearly invisible. Inside, they encountered the hydro weapons, massive, glowing organisms suspended in containment tanks. The weapons pulsed with a strange, almost rhythmic energy, exuding an aura of raw power. Dr. Leora Vane's fascination was evident. "These aren't just weapons," she whispered. "They're ecosystems. Entirely self-sustaining. If we can understand them, we can control them." Navarro got to work, analyzing the hydro weapons structure and devising a counteragent. The process was painstaking, requiring delicate precision. Meanwhile, Dane and the others secured the perimeter, fending off Zentaur guards who had discovered their presence. The tension was suffocating, but the humans thrived under pressure. "Time's running out," Dane called over the comms. "How much longer, Navarro?" "Almost there," he replied, sweat dripping from his brow. "But if this doesn't work, we're going to need a backup plan." Dane's voice was firm. "It'll work. It has to." As Navarro prepared to inject the counteragent into the containment tanks, an alarm blared throughout the facility. The Zentaur had activated the hydro weapons, and the tanks began to crack, glowing fissures spreading across their surfaces. Dane's heart raced as she realized the magnitude of the threat. "Do it now!" she shouted. Navarro plunged the counteragent into the tanks. The hydro weapons writhed violently, their glow intensifying. For a moment, it seemed like the counteragent wouldn't work. Then, slowly, the glow began to fade, and the weapon's movements stilled. Relief washed over the team, but the battle was far from over. The Zentaur weren't about to let their prize be taken so easily. Alarms blared as reinforcements swarmed the base, forcing the humans to fight their way out. The situation in the Zentaur base had gone from tense to chaotic in a matter of moments. The hydro weapons, while neutralized for the time being, were no longer the only threat the humans had to contend with. The Zentaur military, fully aware of the human intrusion, began to flood the facility with heavily armed troops. Lieutenant Navarro, sweating profusely despite the environmental suit, monitored the systems, hoping the counteragent would hold long enough for them to escape. "All units move!" Commander Alara Dane's voice rang out over the comms. "We need to get to the extraction point, now!" The team had no time to bask in their brief victory. The walls of the facility echoed with the boots of Zentaur soldiers marching toward them, their alien armor glinting ominously under the flickering lights. The humans, equipped with only their wits and their training, had to fight not just to survive, but to prevent the Zentaur from getting their hands back on the hydro weapons. "Move fast, But don't make noise. We don't want to alert the whole base, whispered Dr. Leora Vane, her voice barely audible under the cover of the storming alarms. The team navigated the darkened corridors, the facility's once imposing security measures now failing under the pressure of the invasion. It was clear that the Zentaur had underestimated humanity's resolve, and they were about to learn that mistake the hard way. As they neared the extraction point, the group was ambushed. A contingent of Zentaur soldiers had flanked them, cutting off their escape route. The humans quickly scattered, taking cover behind crates and destroyed equipment. Commander Dane's tactical mind kicked into overdrive as she surveyed the scene. Navarro, disable their communications. Vane, we need you to clear the path. Fire on my mark, Dane ordered, her voice calm despite the growing danger. She needed her team to work quickly. If they were going to survive, they couldn't afford hesitation. Navarro, using his ingenuity, quickly set up a disruptor pulse, jamming the Zentaur's communications system long enough to give them an opening. At the same time, Dr. Vane, who had grown into a field commander under Dane's leadership, was already prepping her weapon. On your mark, Commander, she said, her calm demeanor a testament to the fire in her belly. Dane gave the signal. The humans launched into action. Vane's blaster shots rang out, expertly aimed at the enemy's weak points, as Navarro provided cover with his EMP disruptors, creating an opening for the team to retreat. The Zentaur soldiers scrambled to respond, but their delayed communications and disrupted systems gave the humans an edge. Dane led the charge, cutting through the Zentaur ranks with ruthless efficiency. Her team followed suit, pushing through the narrow hallways and corridors, inching ever closer to their extraction point. But they knew the clock was ticking. If they didn't get out soon, the Zentaur would overwhelm them with reinforcements. As they approached the final stretch of their escape route, an overwhelming force of Zentaur soldiers blocked their way. The humans had to make a split-second decision: fight and risk everything, or find a way to slip through their defenses. Split up, Dane ordered. We'll create a distraction. Vane, with me. Navarro, find the backup route. In a coordinated move, the humans separated, each team member instinctively trusting the other to carry out their role. Vane and Dane took the brunt of the enemy's attention, drawing fire and leading the soldiers into a trap. Meanwhile, Navarro quickly found a hidden passage, barely wide enough for him to slip through. His expertise in stealth tactics became their saving grace as he led the team down an emergency escape shaft, leading them away from the Zentaur soldiers' gaze. The tension reached its peak as the team finally emerged into the docking bay, where their ship, Vanguard, was waiting for them. But just as they thought they had made it, a final Zentaur assault squad emerged from the shadows, guns trained on them. Not so fast. A Zentaur officer sneered, aiming his blaster at Dane. The humans were pinned down, their last line of defense just moments away from collapsing. Dane's mind raced. She had seconds, but no clear solution. And then it came to her. Without hesitation, she tossed a small explosive charge into the air. The blast echoed throughout the bay, causing an explosion that rocked the Zentaur soldiers, sending them scattering for cover. The humans seized the opportunity, storming the area and overpowering the last of the resistance with precision strikes. They rushed to the ship, a sense of urgency in the air as they boarded Vanguard, the Zentaur's resistance fading behind them. The ramp sealed shut, and the human crew quickly took their positions, preparing for liftoff. We did it, Navarro panted, slumping into his seat. That was way too close. Dane, still standing tall, let out a breath. It wasn't just close, it was a statement. We showed them that humanity is never going to be a footnote in galactic history. With that, Vanguard ascended into the vastness of space, leaving behind the wreckage of the Zentaur base. For now, the humans had won, but they knew this was only the beginning. As long as they stood together, no enemy, no matter how vast or intimidating, could ever truly defeat them. The Vanguard soared through the stars, its engines roaring as they left the Zentaur base behind in a fiery trail. The crew sat in silence, each of them processing the intensity of what they had just accomplished. The battle had been fierce, and they had narrowly escaped the Zentaur's grasp, but victory was sweet, even if it was hard-won. The galaxy had just witnessed a pivotal moment. Humanity, against all odds, had struck back. Lieutenant Navarro, exhausted from the fight but still alert, stared at the screen in front of him. "We've cleared the area, Commander. The Zentaur fleet is still recovering. They won't be able to chase us anytime soon." Commander Alara Dane, still standing at the command center, allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction before refocusing on the mission. "Good. But we've only won a battle. The war is far from over." Dr. Leora Vane, who had been scanning the data, turned toward Dane, her face a mixture of pride and contemplation. "They underestimated us. They saw us as just another species, weak and insignificant. But now they know we're not so easily crushed." The team was silent for a moment, allowing the weight of those words to settle in. The Zentaur had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity, and now the entire galaxy would feel the consequences. As the Vanguard traveled deeper into space, the crew gathered for a debrief. They knew their next steps would be critical. The Zentaur had seen the raw power and determination of humanity, and it was clear they wouldn't stop until every human stood in their way. Yet, the humans weren't intimidated. They were resilient, and this new sense of unity would propel them forward. "We've shown them what happens when they push us too far," Dane said, her voice calm but firm. "They'll think twice before targeting Earth again. But now we need to regroup, resupply, and make sure we're ready for whatever comes next." Navarro raised an eyebrow. "Do you think they'll retaliate? The Zentaur are known for holding grudges." Dane nodded, her eyes hardening. "They will, but it won't be easy for them. They're shaken, and their confidence has been shattered. Humanity is no longer a passive player in this war. We're on the offensive now." Vane, who had been quietly studying a series of intercepted communications, spoke up. "I've been analyzing their signals, Commander. The Zentaur are rattled. They didn't expect us to be this effective. We've disrupted their plans and exposed their vulnerabilities. We have leverage now." Dane turned to her team, a smile tugging at her lips. "And we're not going to waste it." As the crew worked to strategize their next move, the tension began to ease, replaced by a quiet determination. Each member of the Vanguard knew that they had made history today. Their victory would not only echo through the galaxy, it would reverberate in the hearts of every human who had ever been underestimated, dismissed, or overlooked. Humanity's resilience had always been its greatest strength, and today, that strength had proven unstoppable. The galaxy was vast, and the Zentaur were powerful, but humanity had something they lacked: the will to survive, the courage to fight back, and the ingenuity to adapt. Commander Dane, ever the leader, gathered her team for one last word before they set their course for the next destination. "Today, we did more than just defend Earth. We reminded the galaxy of who we are. Let them underestimate us again at their own peril. We've just begun." With a unified cheer from her crew, the Vanguard set off toward the stars, ready for the next challenge. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity's patience ended, and now, the universe would witness the rise of Earth's might. The Vanguard's engines roared as they entered warp speed, leaving the smoldering remnants of the Zentaur fleet in their wake. Whatever lay ahead, humanity was ready. They were no longer just survivors in a vast and hostile galaxy. They were warriors, and the universe would soon learn to respect them.